Hello and welcome to On The Watch, where we don't let our fandom get in the way of our honest criticism. I'm your host, the prince that was promised, the beige savior, Mazora High. And this right here is my beloved brother. The absence of elephants to my Cersei Lannister. The absence of chemistry to my Jon Snow and Khaleesi. He knows nothing but for what he does with a tongue. My dancing teacher, Pedro Forel. Valar Morghulis.
Valar Dohares. I like to say that you're stretching it lately. You just...
We've been waiting for this a long time, Pish. A long time. For 2 years.
2 years.
Season 8, episode 1 of Game of Thrones. So last season, and just like Bran, I don't play around the bush. I want to get right into it.
Cool.
Before we do so, warning, we're gonna spoil everything.
Until this episode. Nothing from the future.
I mean, we know nothing about the future episodes.
I just want to state that we don't watch next time on.
Oh yeah, no. Those genuinely ruin your experience.
Any promotional material we stay away from.
Yeah, exactly.
That's just what I wanted to state.
Nice statement, Pej. Nice statement. You should do more PSAs.
Thanks.
Before we get into it though, what did you think about the episode?
Middling. I'm a bit torn because there are some parts I really like. Some parts that just are there, and other parts I was like, what show am I watching? So it's a bit of a mixed bag for me.
Okay.
It's nice to see these characters back in general. Yeah, that's about it. It's a setup episode, like most of the premieres. It's mostly bringing things in place for the story to hit the fan. I really liked this episode. I must say, I really liked it. I didn't expect it to like it that much, actually. Oh, cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's also hot. Well, let's just get into it. Let's go scene by scene.
Before we get into the episode.
Pej, I'm glad you're holding eye contact and using your index finger to point. That's what people like. That's genuinely what people appreciate. That makes you a likable person. You know, not threatening at all.
Since we haven't had an episode for 2 years now, I chewed on this episode to the bone. And before we talk about the episode itself, taking the hosting part over here.
Yeah, I've noticed.
We should talk about the previously on. I have a couple of notes.
Do tell.
It's heavily Invasion of the White Walkers oriented.
It is.
Very heavily. What stuck out to me though, the scene choices of things that are gonna be of importance in the season, is Tyrion's reaction was in there, which could have been easily cut. Tyrion's reaction to, the incest, which he doesn't know of, I guess.
I guess he doesn't.
Because he doesn't watch the show.
So we think.
But that ominous look he gave Jon Snow when he walked into Daenerys' room on that boat, that was in there. And they could have easily cut it out. So I'm really curious about that. What's that all about? There was an awesome cut in the previously on, which was seamless, of the Night King riding on his horse in the mist. And all of a sudden, the mist turns into fire and it's a Dothraki rider on his horse. But it was like the exact same position. It was seamless. It almost looked like the Night King turned into a Dothraki. And it was pretty good.
Cool.
Yeah. Other than that, I would like to talk about the title sequence.
The title sequence. Now, every now and then we expect like little changes.
Tiny ones.
Tiny. Just, new place. Or maybe
and you know me.
the absence of couple
I
of
get
places.
all giddy when there is a new location.
This is like all different,
It's all new.
all new. It looks gorgeous.
It looks gorgeous. It looks like a bigger budget and more time was spent on it. Even the first one was pretty amazing. It has a lot of clues in it. I wrote down a couple of them. Have you noticed anything?
Well, I just watched it. I didn't like really freeze
I
frame or anything.
I went frame by frame.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You have a lot of time on your hands.
It's not that I have a lot of time on my hands. It's that they went through the trouble of creating a new title sequence, and I thought there's gonna be things of importance in there.
Well, there probably are. What I thought was rather than them showing places we're not gonna visit, they're just gonna delve into the main two places we are gonna see, and I thought like that was a way of them not basically make a shorter title sequence.
I don't think it's shorter at all.
It's not shorter.
I watched it like 20 times. Scrolled frame by frame.
Okay.
Things I noticed.
Shoot.
It starts as a broken wall.
It does.
Then you see the floor tiles turning, right?
Yeah.
They turn into
blue.
ice.
Yeah.
And it goes until last half, which is the place they've reached this episode. So I think every episode the tiles are gonna get further.
Probably.
And it's a way of showing us how imminent the invasion is toward the south.
So they're just gonna tell us how close the threat is.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we can place it a little bit because even us who are hardcore fans, sometimes it's hard to figure out the distance of places from each
the
other.
geography of it is like, even though it's clear, the travel time is all over the place.
Yeah. So it's a clever way of filling us in of even if we're not gonna see them, that's how far they are on the map. So I think that's gonna be updated in every episode. Interesting thing at the last half, the ice tiles stop right at a river. Right at that river they stop. So it's another clue that they don't like the waters.
They do not. They do not.
They don't like water.
They mentioned it in an episode as well.
Yeah, they've mentioned it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But this is like even more hitting it on the head. That's all I want to say. Water weakness. Oh yeah. So other than that is they go into locations now.
They do.
The camera went in the crypts of Winterfell.
Yeah, it did.
It also went into dungeons of King's Landing.
Sure did.
And specifically showed the
Dragon head.
The dragon head. Not only that, but the dragon killing spear.
Yeah.
So I forgot what the name of it was.
Let's call it Dragon Killer for now.
Dragon killer, sure.
That's the weapon Bronn used in the last battle, right?
Yes. Another thing I noticed.
What?
And this is the last thing I've noticed. The sun constellation thing.
Yeah.
It always has had little murals on them, showing like old plot lines.
Yeah.
Now, what I've noticed is that there are the things we've seen in the show now have become
So they've become the myth.
the myth.
Okay.
So there are a couple of things that I saw on the sun constellation. I forgot what it's called.
That's that thing in a citadel, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But there's also a sun in the middle, and then it has this constellation around it.
Yeah, but it's the same thing as
Yeah, they had it in the citadel, yes.
light source in the
Citadel,
citadel.
yeah. But it's the sun of that world.
Yeah.
It has some turning things around it. On those turning things, it has some murals, and the first one is the ice dragon destroying the wall. So that's become a myth now. Then at the twins, you have the depiction of the red wedding.
I did not see that.
There's a depiction of the red wedding. There is a wolf with spears in him, a man wolf basically, and there's also a guy. I'm guessing it's a Frey holding a, or it could be the executor of Ned Stark.
Probably that.
One of those two. He's holding a wolf head. What I also thought was that the man, I mean, this is crackback theory, but the man is golden because all the murals are in golden. But this episode, we also met the Golden Company. Could be like a foreshadowing of a Golden Company holding Wolf said, but it's probably.
I don't think it's gonna be foreshadowing, mainly because it states the history of Westeros. It always has.
Well, I got a theory for that. The reason I say foreshadowing, I do think it's foreshadowing plot lines. Maybe not in the timeline, it's not foreshadowing. But there is the last Muriel is 4 dragons attacking stags. A bunch of stags. Significant? Maybe a hint of a flashback episode. I think it might be a hint of Robert's Rebellion episode coming up.
A flashback episode.
A flashback episode during Robert's Rebellion. Why I think that? At first, I thought they're gonna go to Old Valyria. Probably the flashback episode is gonna be Old Valyria because they're 4 dragons, and as long as we knew the significant events, there's only been 3 dragons at a time. Robert's Rebellion, there was 3 dragons, and now there've been 3 dragons. So I'm like, what's up with the 4th one? Now, my theory is if it's Robert's Rebellion, the 4 dragons represent Rhaegar, Dany, Viserys, and Jon.
I have another theory about that. Now, I didn't pay attention to what you really are talking about. The dragons, were they connected?
No.
No. So it's not like one dragon with 4 heads?
No.
Okay. Because otherwise it could have been the Azor Ahai symbol.
No, it was. I would have noticed the symbol of the Targaryens. It's not that. It's just 4 dragons with different sizes. So my theory is it just represents the last of the dragon children, Mad King offsprings, and there were 4 of them. So
okay, makes
one
sense.
by one died,
and then there were
2.
1.
Well, Jon is also
his offspring, isn't his son? Okay, cool. They only have 6 episodes. One already has aired, so they have 5 left. Do you think they're gonna waste time on a flashback like that?
I absolutely do. We talked about in our extravaganza episode that there probably will be a flashback episode going through the timeline. I saw that, and it's mostly to explain some of the history behind the Night King. That's why my first thought was Old Valyria.
Okay.
But it could very well be that there are some significant events happening around Robert's Rebellion. So those are my last thoughts on the Game of Thrones intro.
Cool. It was a cool intro. That's
cool.
all I have to say about it because I did not pay that much attention to it.
I did.
And to be honest, I fast forwarded through all of the previously on because I rewatched Game of Thrones recently.
I like previously on sometimes. Most of the times I do skip him, but I wish Game of Thrones starts doing this as well. Westworld season 2.
Westworld does a great job though.
Amazing. They started doing it musically.
Yeah.
Musically. And just no dialogue and just going with the sounds and beats. And
they're doing it the same way Baby Driver did action.
It was amazing. I haven't seen Baby Driver yet.
You should. Anyways. So, the show starts with a kid running, and that's really obvious that they're linking stuff to the first episode of the first season. The episode is called Winterfell. The first episode of the first season was called Winter is Coming. The kid is really a callback to Bran and Arya Stark.
Yes.
Running through the crowd, climbing stuff. And then you see a huge army of Unsullied Dothraki, accompanied by Dany, Jon, Tyrion, and Varys, coming to Winterfell.
We see this mostly through Arya's eyes.
We do.
We see her reactions of people coming and not noticing her at all.
Well, she kind of blends in the crowd, I guess. We have to talk about how the Northerners were looking at them, especially when they were looking at
Missandei and Grey Worm.
Now, Jon offhandedly says that the Northerner do not much trust other people.
Yes, and I probably haven't seen people of color ever.
Yeah, but it was like really obvious what they were trying to show.
Yeah.
They were trying to introduce some racism in the world.
I don't think it's racism per se, as in they've never seen it.
So it's just curiosity?
Could be.
In a negative way?
In a negative way. I would say it's more fearing the unknown.
Fearing the other.
The other, yeah.
All right. Fair.
Yeah, Missandei and Grey Worm was pretty rough for them. I like it that they didn't even have to say anything. They just exchanged looks. It was like, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
And then the dragons make a big entrance.
They do.
And Sansa is freaked out somehow, but she
holds it in. She keeps it in.
And we get a full view of Winterfell. Interestingly, rebuilt Winterfell. It looks
pristine.
It looks pristine, brand spanking new.
Then Jon reunites with Bran. Jon gets really emotional, and Bran is dead-faced AF.
Bran is just being weird. And Jon's like all of a sudden goes, okay, weirdo.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and make this less awkward with Sansa, which our relationship is already pretty awkward.
Yeah.
But it's less awkward than this.
And the recurring theme in this episode was, first of all, Jon is the only hugger in Westeros.
I always respect a hugger.
I mean, I can definitely connect to that.
Yes.
And everybody is just blocking him like crazy.
Either not want to hug him, or they give hugs with agendas.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Those are hugs I cannot appreciate.
One cannot simply appreciate hugs with agendas.
No.
Sansa exchanges a lot of sassy looks with Khaleesi.
Oof.
A lot of sass between the two.
I mean, Dany was trying to be charming, trying.
I mean, she was trying.
Towards Sansa, but Sansa was not biting at all.
No.
And then Bran's weirdo alert starts tingling and then just makes things even more awkward.
Yeah, Bran is like, what? Okay, we're just gonna talk about your dead dragon now.
Yes.
Just
getting into things.
Yeah.
Which is sort of what we want, basically, because there's only 6 episodes.
There's only 6 episodes.
There's only
left,
so much time for this stuff.
Also, Bran is really liberal when it comes to how he chooses to cut time or not.
Absolutely.
It's really all over the place. And then there's a meeting of the Northern Houses.
In the Great Hall.
Northern Houses, especially Lady Mormont, let their dismay be known that Jon Bentany, instead of being the king they chose. There was a really comedic scene when they called out the Umber.
Lord Umber.
Kid, Lord Umber.
And am I confused here, or was Lord Umber the kid from the intro?
No, he was not. That was
not?
just some random kid in Winterfell.
I thought that was Lord Umber.
No.
But I guess I'm wrong. But yeah, Lord Umber is...
he was sitting between 2 big dudes.
Yeah, and then boom.
And then
just pops up.
When Sansa called out Lord Umber, you see him just...
Yeah, this episode, man.
Funny.
It's kind of silly, isn't it?
It is pretty goofy.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And I liked some of it. But other than that, I mean, there was some really goofy stuff that I just didn't make any sense to me. Yeah. But Lord Umber was confused.
Yeah.
Since he's he's a little kid.
Yeah.
He pleads for supplies and horses.
He asks for horses and carriages since they cannot move all of the people in the last hearth to Winterfell. And then we see...
Sansa gives it to him and sends him back.
Exactly. And then we see the Northern Houses, especially Lady Mormont, letting their dismay be known that Jon Bentany, instead of him being the king that they chose. And Sansa really didn't want to say anything, I feel, about it. And then you see Jon try to explain why he did this and how it could help them.
While being quite condescending.
While being really condescending. And then Tyrion decides to take the stage and come to Jon's defense.
Mm-hmm.
And keeps the stupidity of the last 2 seasons just going. It's
a tough crowd.
Streak of bad decisions just keep continuing. Like, he started off giving some decent reasoning why Jon did the right thing, and then he was like, yeah, also the Lannisters are
He's just not being a good salesman.
He's not.
And
Which he used to be.
He used to be. And then Sansa brings Dany and co back to reality.
Yeah. Like, I like that feed
part.
You guys.
I like that part. It's true. How is she going to feed all these people?
Exactly.
And then Sansa bites. Dany bites back.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like cat fight coming.
What do the dragons eat anyway?
Yeah.
They eat whatever they want.
Yes.
It's like, I'm going to let them eat you, basically.
Yes. Threats.
Yeah.
Right.
There's like a lot of power play here.
Yeah.
A lot of power play.
Well, to be honest, I don't mind this part of the episode. There's a Sansa thing that bothered me. It's coming up. But that Sansa being pretty pessimistic about Dany doesn't bother me.
It makes sense.
Makes sense. She's never seen her.
Yeah, also, like, I feel like everything she did thus far in this episode is within reason, and she's in her right.
Yeah, she was... Sansa was being pretty reasonable. People talking about Sansa was not reasonable. But fine, let's go to the next scene.
Then we have Tyrion going to Sansa, and they talk about their last joyous meeting, aka the Purple Wedding. Sansa puts Tyrion in his place for trusting Cersei, and she says to him, I used to think you were the most clever man alive. Now, I feel like she's the viewer's surrogate here.
Yeah. I don't know. This is why this dumbing down of Tyrion is just continuing.
Well, I feel like it's been going on since he killed his father.
His trial.
His trial, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of sad to see. I mean, make him depressed, but don't make him dumb.
I guess so. I'm sure they're doing a bad job at like portraying his the way he's affected by his trial. But yeah, he's not been making good decisions at all.
I do like it that Sansa doesn't buy Cersei's.
Yeah, of course. Like Sansa knows Cersei.
Sansa knows Cersei pretty well, but you would think Tyrion knows her better. You know? I feel like we should also not forget to mention that we saw Gendry in this scene. Loading off the dragon glass.
Oh, yeah.
Getting ready to make some weapons.
All of the weapons, beige.
And then Tyrion and Bran exchange some looks.
Yeah, they do. No words are said though. They just communicate telepathically. Jon is by the weirwood tree, and Arya sneaks up on him, which he was really surprised by. They compare sword sizes, and Arya calls Sansa the smartest person she's ever met. Overstatement of the year. She's not been the smartest person we've seen on the show. One would argue she's made some really poor decisions.
Yes.
This far, she was the smartest person in the episode, maybe. I could give it that. And Arya really hammers down the theme of family.
Yeah.
Hashtag family. But yeah, what do you think about that?
All right. During the sword talk, Arya says, nah, too heavy for me.
Yeah.
That seems like a little fishy to me, as in foreshadowing fishy. I think she might have to end up using that sword in the last ditch. I think that scene might be coming up.
Okay.
And the heaviness is going to come into play.
Maybe, or maybe that was her foreshadowing that she's going to build a similar weapon that's going to be lighter.
I don't think it's going to be a similar weapon at all.
No, a Valyrian steel weapon that's going to be lighter.
Isn't it just going to be dragon's glass?
Or maybe they're going to melt the sword and make two of it, like they did with Ned Stark's sword.
Yeah, okay. But I do think that line is a little fishy. It's either foreshadowing the plot that comes in this episode of her building her own weapon, or there is a connection with her coming up with that sword, with Jon's sword, that she's going to have to wield it.
Also, it's important to know that there are 3 Valyrian swords in the winter. Also, it's important to know that there are 3 Valyrian swords in Winterfell right now. We have Littlefinger's dagger
Yes.
that is in possession of Arya right now.
Okay.
Then we have Sam's sword, which he stole from his family home. And then we have Jon's sword.
Yes.
Do you think at some point they're gonna melt the heavier weapons to make more of them?
I don't know.
I think it makes sense.
It makes sense, I guess, but I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think that's a coming plot.
I really... Well, I was...
Arya could probably incorporate her dagger into her weapon, but I don't see others melting their swords. And
Yeah.
making
I really
them.
thought the comment that Arya made about Jon's weapon being too heavy was foreshadowing for them melting the swords and make multiple ones, lighter ones. It'd be easier to move, especially if they have to move fast.
Yeah.
And more people are going to be wielding Valyrian swords, which could make sense in fighting.
Yeah, but
White
they got
Walkers.
dragon glass. I mean, it sort of has the same effect.
Maybe.
I saw it more of a plot moments coming up, a dramatic moment coming up of her having no weapons anymore, except for that sword lying in front of her, maybe. And I just pictured this scene in my head. It's a crackpot theory, but whatever.
You think that's going to be how she dies?
Maybe. It seemed a little fishy to me.
Okay.
And then you have I don't like the rewriting of the history of Sansa's wits and how smart she's been. She's a great tactician somehow. While she's been doing some of that lately, even until the end of the last season, we've seen that not being true.
True.
And I don't like how they're rewriting history. And see, some of these people coming together, because of the strong character build-ups throughout the years, it really works. It really hits home. But then some of them are just retconning things, bluntly. And there's another one coming up. But this whole Sansa has been smart throughout the show. The smartest person in Westeros. I don't buy it. We've never seen it.
It is known.
And we've seen some smartness, sure. But she's definitely not grown the way we would have liked her to. And she's made some stupid mistakes even until this last season.
Yeah, very recently.
With the whole Littlefinger plotline.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't buy it. There's also a touching moment between Arya and Jon.
Yeah, the hug.
The hug. And she says something very sweet to him. This hug was a genuine hug.
You think?
A for the hug.
I kind of felt that the hug was kind of manipulative from Arya's part.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
It's like, don't forget you're a part of our family too. AKA, make sure you take Sansa's side at all costs.
Oh, I didn't see it that way. I saw it that way. I saw it in a way as in, don't forget you're still a part of our family. As in you're gonna find out soon that you're not a part of a family. You're a part of a family. Not that she knows. It's just the writing hinting.
Okay, cool. And then we go to King's Landing, where Qyburn brings Cersei up to speed about the horrible news of the Night King crossing the wall.
She has this villainous look about it.
Extremely.
This villainous, smug look of, I have a villainous, smug plan going on.
Also, she looks like it was her plan for the Night King
she's
to
like,
cross the
good.
wall, which doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah,
it was... Cersei has been really...
I don't know.
Really owning her villainous.
Either her plan is gonna work because they've been going with this. Cersei is actually a mastermind, and Tyrion isn't. Either her plan is gonna work and she's gonna be one of the sole survivors, which I doubt, or it's gonna blow up in her face pretty badly.
I think it's gonna be the second one.
Yeah,
but the first one will be so cool.
I don't think it's gonna happen because since we had the last conversation, I remember that. She had a conversation with the witch. She's not going to deliver this child.
You think?
Yeah. She's going to die before it.
Or maybe die in childbirth.
Yeah, but wouldn't the witch mention that as well, though? That your last child is going to die? I
don't know.
And this child is not going to come to her.
We'll see.
And then Euron arrives with the Golden Company.
Sure does.
No elephants to be seen.
No elephants to
A
be
new
seen.
sigil to be seen.
With sigil.
It's the Kraken,
Okay.
but it has a red symbol in the middle of it. So I'm guessing it's a new sigil. I don't remember seeing this one.
I thought it was a regular one. I could be wrong though.
I think it's Euron's offspring of the Greyjoy logo.
It was like a Greyjoy 2.0.
It's what Stannis also did with their logo, with their sigil.
Yeah.
And I mean, when he split up with
Robert
and Co. and Renly,
Robert and Co.
And then Euron goes to spend some quality time with Yara.
Yeah.
Gives this to Theon.
Yeah.
implies his men are yes men.
Yeah.
Euron implies his men are yes men. Might come back.
Well, while he was having a talk with Yara, first of all, he was chewing up the scenery and he was laying it so thick with assholery.
Yeah.
Loved it. But he didn't say his men were yes men. He said, my men are mute.
Yeah, that's basically they're yes men. They would never say no to me. They would never say anything to piss me off.
Or maybe they just genuinely cannot talk.
I don't think so, man.
I don't know. With Euron, you never know, Pish.
I doubt it. He likes fun.
Yeah, but also he doesn't like squealers, I think.
He would cut off the tongues of all of the Greyjoys. I doubt it. That's stupid.
You think it's beyond him?
Yes.
I do not think that.
At this point, I think it's beyond him.
No, we know he's just evil.
I think you're taking it too literalness.
Maybe.
And Yara says that he's picking this losing side.
Yeah.
And that Euron mentions he is not above, backstabbing Cersei when push comes to shove.
Yeah, he has no loyalty to whomsoever.
After he gets it going with the Queen, though.
Yeah.
Priorities.
Now, then we have a meeting in the throne room between Cersei, Euron Greyjoy, and the Golden Company. Cersei's definitely not pleased that there are no elephants.
I thought it was pretty hilarious that Captain Strickland was like, we're with 20,000 men. And then looks at Euron and goes a couple short of that. Because Euron killed a bunch of them in transit. Yeah. And Euron's reasoning being, because they cheated at dice or I cheated. Details, what are they?
Yeah.
Priorities. But he mentions that they were not good fighters anyway. You wouldn't have needed them. 2,000 horses as well.
2,000 horses.
No elephants.
And then we see Euron trying to get into her royal pants. Cersei turns him down by saying, you want a whore, buy one. You want a queen, earn her.
Just playing hard to get.
Yeah, and then directly after that, she ends up sleeping with him anyways.
Yes.
Hashtag Cersei flex. Can we do that?
No, I'm not going to do any more hashtags ever again.
And right after that, we see Bronn trying to get his freak on with 3 prostitutes. But they cannot stop talking about the dragons and the casualties. Which, one would argue, is a turn off.
Yes.
Definitely a turn off. Qyburn interrupts his sexy time to tell him that Cersei wants him to murder his 2 brothers for treasons with the crossbow that Tyrion used to kill Tywin.
Now, one of the Lady of the Knights make a move on
Qyburn. Yeah, it was.
And Qyburn just destroys her when she leaves the room.
Yeah, it's like, you're gonna die by pox in a year.
Yeah. Now, Bronn's gonna decide, bros or Santa's favorite words. Which one is it gonna be,
Yeah. Also, I love it that he said that effing family. The way he said it is like, I'm so done with these people.
How do you think that's gonna play out? I think Bronn is probably gonna try to kill them. I don't think he's gonna. I think the story here is that we think he's loyal, but he's not. He's always been an assassin, man.
I honestly think as soon as Bronn sees the White Walkers and the Whites, he's gonna know none of this matters, and he's gonna take the right side.
You think that's just a means to get him to the north?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think it's gonna come to play. It's gonna be a dramatic moment. Somebody's gonna die.
I think Bronn is gonna be the one who would sacrifice himself for Jaime to live longer to serve his purpose.
Oh, for sure not. I think he's gonna kill one of them. For sure.
Well, agree to disagree.
We don't have to agree or disagree at all. This is just theorizing.
Agree to disagree.
Right, sure.
Needy Euron wants to be told that he's better than Robert Baratheon and Jaime Lannister, aka the Kingslayer, in bed.
And Cersei plays him like a fiddle.
Yeah. Well, Cersei says he likes Euron arrogance, or she claims she does. Euron touches her tum-tum and says he wants to put a baby in that belly. They're both playing each other, basically, at this point.
Both definitely playing each other. But this is what Cersei does, though. Get pregnant by Jaime and claim it's somebody else's baby.
Yeah.
And she's sort of... I think this is the only reason she slept with him.
Probably.
To
timing.
Make it look like it's his child.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad, because last season she went like... Didn't she say to Jaime that... Jaime was like, whose baby are we going to say it is this time? And Cersei was like, yours? F everybody. We're just going to say it's yours. And now it's like, no.
Well, Jaime left her.
Yeah, but it's the last middle finger towards Jaime.
Probably, yeah. Then we see Theon coming to save Yara. Yara headbutts the living concussion out of him and calls it even. Yara wants to take their home, the Iron Islands, back, but Theon wants to fight alongside the Starks. And then Yara tells him he should go to Winterfell. This was one of the most touching scenes for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I loved how matter-of-fact and blunt they were about it. They were not cheesy about their emotion, and we got everything they were trying to communicate.
Now, this is where we have to agree to disagree, man.
Oh, no!
Hated the scene.
Really?
Hated the scene.
Which part?
Theon goes to rescue Yara.
Sure does.
This scene was so anticlimactic. So anticlimactic. They've been building this up. Why build up a plot line you're going to solve in 2 minutes? 2 minutes. You're going to give it in the last season 2 minutes of your time to. If you don't have a time, don't have Yara get kidnapped. And then you have the whole, the shorthand of, I'm happy to see you, but I'm super pissed to see you, so I'm going to headbutt you and then shake your hand, which I've never seen in any media at all. Ever.
I thought it was done beautifully.
I thought it was like very cheesy, as in we don't have time, just let's get through this as fast as possible. And it was sad to me because I was expecting something more, because I like their interactions together usually. I think Theon is doing some great work on the show, but this storyline got the short shrift.
Actually, this was one of my favorite scenes they were both in.
I didn't work for me. And they also mentioned it again that the Iron Islands is an island, and it's probably gonna be one of the last places the show is gonna go to. Then it's gonna be one of the saving havens.
Yeah,
and probably isn't Dragonstone also an island?
Dragonstone is also an island.
Yeah,
yes.
Probably those two places are gonna play some huge.
Well, they've been implying heavily that the White Walkers and the Whites do not like water.
Yes.
We go back to Winterfell. Davos, Tyrion, and Varys are talking about the Northerners' distrust in Khaleesi. And then Davos suggests a marriage proposal between Jon and Khaleesi. And Varys' optimism just never seems to amaze me. Nothing lasts. What a downer, that guy.
Well, he's true. He's right.
Nothing lasts.
Nothing lasts. That has been his motto since the get-go.
True, but I mean...
Have you seen those two together? No chemistry. They just want to bone each other.
They're extremely beautiful people, though.
Yeah.
But
they have no chemistry. And the beauty is going to fade, so they,
I'm glad you have the same sense of optimism as Varys does, Bish.
All right.
Khaleesi and Jon talk about how Sansa doesn't like or respects her. And then it comes across as a power-hungry queen and very needy to me.
Really?
Yeah.
I think she's been sort of correct. She's like, I don't need her to like me, but she's going to respect me.
Throughout the 7 seasons we've seen so far, we've watched Khaleesi being the savior of the poor and not really being able to communicate or solving something diplomatically with the rich and the noble houses.
Yes.
And I think this season, this is going to come to play in a very big way.
Probably, but I don't agree that this is one of those moments.
It really screamed out that to me.
Okay. Then the Dothraki rider arrives?
Yeah, the Dothraki rider arrives to tell Dany that the dragons are not eating.
They're on a diet.
Yeah, they're on diet. They're really self-conscious about their weight.
She says they don't like the North. I think they're just mourning.
I think they're mourning too.
Yeah,
the
they
brother
lost
just
their
died.
brother.
Yeah. And then they fly their dragons. A whole new world
is what I wrote down. I wrote it down too.
Oh, that was a horrible
That was
scene.
so horrible.
Now the white shot looked great, but every close up they had, how can they still not manage to master green screens?
I don't care about that at all. This scene in the whole, I've forgiven a lot of green screen,
Yeah.
but this just did not work for me. It was so silly. It was. I get what they were going for, like this romantic bonding flying moments.
Yeah.
Miserably failed.
Have you seen the first How to Train a Dragon?
I have, but it's been a long time ago.
Well, there's this scene that Toothless and the dude first meet each other, and they're trying to test each other on how to fly and stuff.
Yeah,
And
I recall something.
yeah, and that's basically the dragon flex. Is like, hey, look what I can do, and you're gonna shit your pants.
Yeah.
There was a lot of this in this episode as well, but How to Train a Dragon did so much better.
Now, I do think this scene has a importance. Is that Dany is trying to reestablish her power. Mm-hmm. She makes herself, her dragon, and Jon, in turn, fly over Winterfell and make sure that people sees Jon on the dragon. So she's sort of reinstating her power and also showing that Jon has power as well. She wants to build them up to the folk, to the crowds. As in, look, I know you're a little skeptical, but we're powerful. Don't F with us.
You think it was that premeditated?
It was pretty much planned for me. I don't think she was being a very spontaneous. I don't think it was a spontaneous moment at all.
Okay.
She even makes sure to fly, and they make sure to show the village and the Winterfell people look at Jon while he's flying.
Okay, maybe.
Now he's being a doofus on it, but does that matter? I don't think so.
And then they go to their favorite picnic place where Jon. Yeah.
Wasn't it creepy?
I mean, he was creepy.
Do you know why I think it's creepy?
No.
It reminded me a lot of Ygritte, and where he took, where he made love to Ygritte for the first time.
It's not the same place, though.
It's not the same place, but it's quite similar. And he's like, let me go. This works with the chicks.
Well, Pesh, it's the north. I mean, everything is an icy blizzard.
But he takes the lead at that point. He's like, I'm gonna take you to a place, to a spot. And it's not the same
That's
spot.
not how I read it, though.
Oh, it is definitely how it went. He took the lead at that point.
Yeah, he took the lead, but I thought like he flew over some place that he thought was pretty.
No,
I'm gonna land there. I'm gonna make a picnic, and we're gonna have a day.
He wanted to show her that spot, but it just rang a lot of similarities to me of where he made love with Ygritte for the first time. I thought it was a little creepy.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's not what they were going for. But, you know, Jon has one playbook.
Wow. Harsh. Also, did they
silliness.
almost have a threesome with a dragon, though?
No, but the dragon is pissed off, and Jon is like, I'm gonna F you with one eye open. What show are we watching here at this point?
Weird. That was really weird.
So hilariously awkward to watch for me.
Now, Khaleesi usually tends to talk about her dragons as her children.
Yeah.
Was it like a don't screw my mom, dude?
It was
kind of look?
It was not only that, it was also that both dragons know Jon is a Targaryen, and they're pretty much related. I think it's we don't approve look.
Okay.
We don't approve of incest.
But aren't the Targaryens known for incest?
Yeah, but these dragons don't know that.
Okay.
But they know they're both Targaryens. Because, you know.
Okay.
Drogon sensed that.
Okay.
In Jon.
And then we have my absolute favorite scene of the episode. Arya and the Hound reunite. The Hound says, "You left me to die," and Arya super casually responds, "First I robbed you." There's this mutual respect between the two, which was not stated in the most respectful way by the Hound. But I feel those two really just get each other. Then we have Gendry and Arya reunite and flirt like crazy.
This part is my favorite part.
Sploosh.
This part is my favorite part because
Sploosh.
it's a romance that sort of makes sense. Arya has grown up now, and they always had the chemistry, but Arya was just a tad bit too young. Now, by his line of saying "you look good now" or something like that, and he was trying not to be creepy but be a little flirty.
So that was his way of saying you're of legal age.
You've grown up, and I'm sort of into you.
Okay.
And because they don't have a huge difference, I think, in age, but they were awkwardly aged that Arya was underage and he wasn't. And I thought it was pretty cute. It was pretty badass too. Arya is like, yeah, you're gonna make me a weapon.
Yeah.
That's I mean, sploosh.
Well, not the weapon sploosh, but yeah, everything else. Sure. Did you get a good look at the design of the weapon?
I did.
It reminded me of the scorpions. Come here.
I think
Spear?
I think that's just the end of it though.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be a staff with two-sided. Two-sided. What do you call it? Yeah, two-sided blades at the end of the staffs of dragon glass.
Okay.
Because last season she had last couple of seasons she had a lot of practices with a staff.
Okay.
And needle is cool and all, but I don't think it's gonna stand up. It's against heavier weapons.
Also, like, it doesn't matter in the fight, they're gonna fight.
It doesn't matter at all, and there's only so much she can do. But I feel like she's gonna be much more capable with a staff.
She's gonna have more range.
More capable, and interestingly, the ends of it come out and become a blade. So I think we got a cool Arya action scene coming up of her doing incredible stuff with that staff.
I cannot wait.
Taking out the side, just stabbing somebody in the head, just going crazy.
And she shows off her Valyrian steel dagger as well.
He calls her Milady again. I thought that was pretty cute. See, this is character interactions that have been building up well, and it pays off nicely.
It was cute how they teased each other.
It is, and she gets on her sass. I'm the only rich girl, you know.
Yeah,
I thought that was super cute. This is my favorite scene of the episode.
Okay, no, that's fair. That's fair. The whole sequence was great. And then we have Sansa and Jon at Sansa's chamber, talking about how House Glover bailed on the Starks.
Yes.
And Jon says that, House Glover basically promised to stick with the Starks till the bitter end. And Sansa corrected him that House Glover told Jon and promised him that it would stick with him, the king in the north.
Yes.
There was a personal promise, not a promise to the collective Stark family. And then they start bickering about the Southern Army and the Targaryen queen. Till the point that Sansa straight up asks him if he bent the knee to Dany to save the north.
Yes.
Or because he loved her. Which is fair point. I think Sansa is really
making some good points.
Making some well thought out statements, and it's fair. I mean, I can't fault her for it.
No, I agree with her.
Yeah. Jorah introduces Khaleesi to Sam, the man who saved him, and Khaleesi drops the ever awesome news that she barbecued his whole family, his brother and his father. First, Sam doesn't get too sad because it was only about his father, so he thought. And then he's like, no, your brother stood with him.
The retcons, Dickon.
They did. They really did.
Yeah, because last season they totally retconned that character and made him nice.
They kind of did, didn't they? First they had the dinner scene and he was like a total dick.
Yeah.
Which is in the name. And last season, they recasted him with somebody who actually looked friendlier.
Yeah.
And was kind of friendlier. He was noble. He was
that total was gone.
Yeah.
They totally rewrote that character.
But, okay.
For this scene, probably.
Probably, but also, even if Dickon as a character was somewhere in the middle of the two, it still would makes sense how Sam reacted, because if he hates for his father, he was still hurt last season when his father dissed him.
True.
And you grow up with your brother, so you have a different bond with him. I mean, I wouldn't know.
Go on.
Sam runs outside crying, and he sees Bran, and he asks him, "What are you doing here?" And Bran tells him he's waiting for an old friend. At first, I thought he was talking about Sam.
As in Hey, old friend, I was waiting for you.
Yeah.
Okay, weird.
And Bran tells him that now is the perfect time to tell Jon about his real mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Jon is in the crypt,
Mm-hmm.
next to Ned Stark's statue,
Yes.
brooding, as he does.
As he does.
And then he hears Sam falling down.
It already undermines the scene, doesn't it?
Well, it's in character for Sam. He's a klutz.
Yeah, to put a comedic beat in this dramatic scene, it just undermines it a bit.
Maybe. I was like, of course this would happen.
Mm-hmm.
Sam and Jon reunite, and finally Jon's love and hug is recuperated.
Mm-hmm. I think it was recuperated with Arya as well.
She had an agenda, man.
No,
she had an agenda.
She's
She's a manipulative little cold-hearted bitch.
She was being the sweet old assassin that she is.
And Sam tells Jon that Dany killed his father and his brother in cold blood, and Jon did not know. Now, it's either that Khaleesi didn't care enough to tell him, or she knew what she did was cruel and she chose not to tell him.
Or she didn't care to tell anybody because she doesn't care
Yes.
about her cruelty.
But it's probably the third, which is the scariest option, to be honest with you. Sam points out that Dany's cruel and tells him that he would be a good king not only because he gave up his crown and his power for his own people, and that Dany would never give up a crown to save her people.
No.
To Dany is the most important thing. To Jon, his people are the most important thing. But also because he is Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark's son, Aegon Targaryen.
Which he figured it out with Bran.
Yeah,
he just figured it out.
They worked it out. Bran does, you know what Bran does, and they just stumbled on it.
They just Sherlock Holmes did, you know. They figured it out.
Who's Watson in that situation?
Definitely Sam.
Okay, he's a doctor.
Yes, and he reads a lot, while Bran is just
on drugs.
Very smart. Okay.
On drugs.
Yeah, I mean, they Sherlock Holmes did. They did a simple Google search and came up with the results. No, it's a little weird the way they deliver it. But how else are you gonna deliver it though?
I guess. I mean,
you know, it's just damned if you don't, damned if you do.
True. This scene was bound to happen at some point.
Yeah. Did you think it paid off? It delivered?
Well, Kit Harington is not the best actor. He always has the same expression on his face, and he looks confused even more than his usual brooding self. It looks like he has an identity crisis. He genuinely felt bad and betrayed by Ned Stark, him being the most honorable man he knows. And Sam points it out that, yeah, he was just trying to save you. Because if Robert knew, he was going to kill you.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm just trying to think how they would convince other people, the whole world, basically, that no. This random dude, this bastard, is actually your leader.
Well, number one, you play the final countdown. Number two, Jon is going to say like, and now I will walk through fire to convince you all that I am the unburned, the undying. And then he walks through the fire and nothing happens.
But Jon has been burnt before.
They're gonna retcon that.
No, they won't.
They're gonna retcon that.
They can't.
Dude, they retcon everything this season.
That's too big to retcon, though.
Is it?
Yeah, and that's actually in the books as well, that Jon gets burnt.
Yeah.
By the way, not all Targaryens are immune to fire.
I feel like that's kind of their fault.
If you remember, Viserys was also not immune to fire.
A crown for the king.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think they can do it like that. But it's gotta be a grand spectacle for everybody to believe.
But then again, like, Jon has come back from the dead once.
Which he kept as a secret for himself. By the way, Arya commented on it.
Yeah.
And he commented back.
Yeah.
Doesn't he like go like, oh no, we don't talk about that. the whole time since it has happened.
But also, like, what I'm trying to say is, it wouldn't be the first time that Jon has to convince somebody of the impossible. They did the first time and it worked. Why wouldn't it work out the second time? I am not a bastard.
I don't know, man.
And then we have the boy band Beyond the Wall, who are making their way back to Winterfell as they cross the last hearth. Now, they find the ruins that the Night King and his army of the undead left behind. And the Umber boy is dead and put up on display for just the giggles, with severed arms all around him. Now, before this...
Just limbs.
Just limbs. And before this, there's a cute little gag between Ed and Tormund. When they...
This one worked for me. I liked it.
It was funny. It was funny.
I liked it.
Stay back, his eyes are blue!
Because these two have always been kind of comedic.
And then again, it's really hard not to like anything Tormund is in.
Or Ed.
Do
you recognize the symbol around the Umber boy?
The Umber boy. It really looked like the Targaryen symbol to me.
No. It's...
Good talk.
In the first episode in the pilot, the first episode of ever. And there was this scene with the White Walkers, and they left the bodies also in this symbol. But this is the symbol of the Children of the Forest. When they created the Night King, there's a shot from above, and it's like ruins in the shape of this symbol.
Shrimp cocktail.
Yeah, the shrimp cocktail. How does that one look like?
It's like a bunch of shrimps and then sauce in the middle.
You know, I couldn't tell because I'm allergic.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
But I'll take your word for it and call it a shrimp cocktail. And, you know, they say like shrimp and some of seafood get you horny, but this is very awkward. So yeah, I'm allergic, so I wouldn't know. But yes, let's call it for now shrimp cocktail.
Okay.
That scene that's probably the first thing the Night King has ever witnessed. So it's like something that stuck with him, I guess, because he has to recreate it all the time.
It's his Zima blue. I have to talk about the jump scare. It really got me. I saw the eyes opening and it didn't make much of it.
I like the eyes opening because it was not telegraphed in any way with a sound beat or anything. It just opened, and I like that. I thought that was creepy. The scream was a little...
I had my headphones on, man. I almost fell out of my chair.
Yeah.
Like, not even joking. Like, I was in...
But
I was watching
so old.
Yeah.
But you're so old.
I was watching it during my lunch break at work.
Yeah.
And people were looking at me with a concerned look on their face. Some of them were pointing and laughing. But yeah, it was weird. And then we have a cloaked figure, a Jedi with one hand, arriving in Winterfell. He
Lovely.
takes off his hood, and it's revealed to be Jaime Lannister.
Yes. Also mirroring his scene in the first episode.
When he takes off
Ever.
his helmet.
Yes. And somebody ADRs, that is Jaime Lannister, the brother of the queen.
What a lovely accent. What a lovely, lovely accent.
That ADR always stuck with me. Because
Why are you using your Penny's voice?
But I love you, Desmond. And this is my second favorite scene.
Yeah,
of
the
episode.
first person he sees is Bran, and that face.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's he does
First of all, he's a gorgeous man. But
gorgeous man, but his
also
acting is just
acting.
yeah. And also, Jaime stays my MVP since the last season, even though he only had like 20 seconds this episode
no lines, dude.
and no lines.
Yeah.
But that face says it all, and it's mostly because the groundwork of Jaime's character has been laid so well.
It's very strong.
Very strong. He's a changed man, but yet the same man. And this moment it just pays off really nicely. And I'm very curious to see how this confrontation is going to continue.
Now,
You.
for me, it has to be Arya. I think she was the strongest in this episode. Every interaction she had, it had something interesting to say. She had a certain spunk to her that we haven't seen since season 1. I really loved watching her on screen. I loved her banter with Gendry. I loved her interaction with the Hound. I liked her interaction with Jon. I think she's my favorite character of this episode.
She would be my second choice, mostly also again because her groundwork has been so well laid on, and she's had these amazing interactions with different people throughout the show, and build up these great relationships that it pays off when she talks to those people again and has interactions with those people again.
Would you say that Arya Stark is the social flower?
The social flower of the Stark family?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I would say that, Pish.
Yes, one that is blooming into an assassin.
And Gendry wanna jump all on that.
Don't make it weird, Mass.
I cannot not make it weird.
Okay.
We've gone through the whole episode scene by scene. We spoiled everything. We talked about everything we wanted to talk about. What stands out to you? What are you looking forward to, Bish?
I am looking forward to everything.
Everything.
I feel like this episode had to happen. Did it fall on his face? At times. Did it pull it off? At times. Some of these interactions and groundwork were terrible, so the payoff was not gonna be good. But some of them were really well done, and some of them they just flew over, which hurt me.
All of the puns here: falling flat on the face, flying over.
Oh, I didn't realize any of those, but I mostly enjoyed the episode. It's a solid C plus B.
So in human language, it's a 6.5 to 7, right? Out of 10.
Something like that.
Yes, something like that.
Yeah? Well, I'm kind of an underworld boss myself, you know. Well, I mean, back home.
What did you think? Any last thoughts?
Well, I really liked the episode. I wouldn't say I loved it, but I really liked the first episode. Especially coming after season 7, which wasn't the strongest.
No.
I feel like they're well on their way to make a good season.
That dragon scene, though, just flew on.
I think they're well on their way to make a good season. I'm really looking forward to Theon coming back to Winterfell and his interactions with the Starks.
Me too.
It's going to be interesting for sure. I don't know how Arya is going to react.
Don't you sort of feel sad that the romance that is like the most important thing of all, this epic romance, is so boring and bland?
Well, I'm of many minds about it. I'm always
They have no
down,
chemistry.
I'm always down for two really good-looking people just getting it on.
But they're like...
But they are also the worst actors of the bunch.
Not only that, they're also like... They have like a bro and sis vibe, which I guess is good for the show.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
It makes sense, but...
I'm looking forward to the conversation where Jon goes to Dany and is like, you know, the reason why everything we do is forced and doesn't feel natural is because you're mad. But yeah, I don't think the show relies on it. I think we're going to get over that really fast. That's why Jon found out this early on in the season that her nephew.
Would they care though?
I feel like they should. I feel
Would
like
they like be like, let's break up? We're related.
Honestly, I think they're laying the groundwork for Jon to take the power and Dany to die. That's why the dragon scene was to me. The dragon is basically like, yo, bro, you're one of us.
We'll see.
And that's why Sam's interaction, that's what Sam's interaction with Jon was to me as well. It's like, she's cruel. She's not going to be a good queen.
So forget about her. No, I don't know, buddy.
I'm really looking forward to Theon's comeback to Winterfell. I'm wondering how people are going to react to him because the North remembers.
Especially Bran. It's gonna be like a Jaime moment.
It's gonna be like a Jaime moment. I'm wondering how Arya's gonna react because she's very vindictive. Of course, Sansa is gonna be his way back in.
Yes.
Because he helped her escape. But I really don't know how much goodwill he has left.
I think at this point, most of the people have goodwill because of the war to come.
You think they just wouldn't care because there's a war coming?
Yes. Everybody wants to fight on the same side. Let's just put our differences aside. And
Yeah, but if you put it that way, they should trust the Lannisters as well.
there's just no drama.
Yeah, that's what you want out of your drama show. But yeah, if you put it that way, they should trust the Lannisters as well, which they
Never
definitely
trust the
shouldn't.
Lannisters, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to her plan.
To Cersei's plan.
Cersei's
Yeah,
plan.
I'm wondering what she's cooking up in her head.
I am quite curious what her plan is. I think she might end up killing one of the dragons.
I mean, she has the weapon for it.
She has a weapon. They've been building it up. It's in the title sequence. It might happen.
It might.
And
Or
guess,
not. Either
guess
way.
which dragon is gonna survive? The one you know its name or the other one?
I think all the dragons are actually gonna die at the end of the
Yeah,
season.
even Drogon?
Yeah. I think dragons are gonna become what they were in the first season. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season, to be honest with you.
Me too.
I think they're gonna...
I'm on board.
I'm on board too.
Theory. One of the
Don't snap at me ever again.
One of the age-old theories was that the intro of the first 7 seasons, the title sequence, was an old maester trying to recreate
History.
history. Like it's like a board. It's like a table. It's like creating a maquette. You know. I think the reason why it's changed is gonna be a continuation of that.
It's Sam doing it?
I don't know. It's in the future. It looks a little pristine. It looks new, and it looks way more advanced.
It's because they have more HBO money, man.
I don't think it's only that.
Okay.
Why would they change the look of it though? Why would not keep the same style and just expand on that?
Because they know more. God, they know more. Like, because it's so...
But even the simple stuff, even the sun looks different.
Yeah, but because it's such a recent history and because it's building from like the ground up, it's only 3 places now. They can go way more into detail. Like if I ask you something about...
I'm not saying...
If I ask you about a place you were in yesterday, you would still remember all the details, and therefore you will have more details in your recreation of it. If I ask you what did you do 5 years ago,
Yeah.
the details are going to be fuzzy at best.
Well, with me, it's the other way around. I got good long-term memory, crappy short-term memory. But I would like to say that it looks different. It's not that it looks more detailed. It looks different. It's a different look. And that's why I think it's going to play somewhat into the story. And when the show is done, we're going to figure it out. This was from that point on.
Well, Daenerys kind of hinted that Sam is going to be a new addition and she's going to change the Citadel. So yeah, maybe it is Sam retelling this stuff.
Could be. Or what if this is...
You're pointing again.
Theory.
You're pointing again.
Theory. What if this is history written from the winning side? History is always written by the winning.
True.
What if the evil wins and this is their telling of it? Because it looks different.
It would make sense since it starts out from the broken wall and comes south.
And the first image is the wall getting broken. And it focuses on ice.
Didn't all the previous seasons start with King's Landing?
No. Winterfell.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
I thought they started with King's Landing.
No, most of them started with with the Winterfell.
I thought it was started at King's Landing and it went up and then he went over the water.
King's Landing was usually in the middle somewhere.
So yeah, then still starts from the north.
Yeah.
All right. But then again,
I think the first shots always varied actually. It's just always in the middle was King's Landing.
So you think Night King's gonna win?
Could be. I don't know, but it could be like this is their version of this war room. What's going on? They're like showing how far they've gotten their army. You know?
Sure, but also like if it's told from the perspective of the Night King, I mean, why would he even care about stuff like the Red Wedding or...
Well, it is...
Or Ned Stark.
Isn't it theorized that he is a Stark? He's the first man.
Mm-hmm. And Starks
are come from the first man, descendants of the first man.
Okay.
So it's basically his history as well.
I guess. Now, as cool as the theory is, and as cool as it is talking about it, I don't think it's a particularly interesting thing to see in a show.
No, I'm not saying they would ever show it. Mm-hmm. But once the show is all said and done, mm-hmm. you could say like, this is probably from their side because they won at the end. And there's never going to be a scene of him just making this maquette. You know?
No, I actually want to see a spin-off show when the Night King wins it all. He goes he does a Thanos bitch. He goes to some place that's just, abandoned, and he picks up woodworking and makes maquettes of his previous victories, and he ponders upon them.
And he's telling the story to the children.
Yeah.
And it's like turning gears and stuff. And everything is happening. And like, John, we got to that part of the island.
I don't think he's a very talkative dude. I think he'd be the kind of old man who gets out of his house just to say, get off my lawn.
We'll see.
That was our recap and review of the first episode of the 8th season of Game of Thrones. We enjoyed watching it. We enjoyed talking about it a great deal. Please like, subscribe, and share our videos to your friends. Tell to everybody.
Everyone.
And share this video like crazy. We'll be back next week with our review of the second episode of Game of Thrones
Season 8.
Season 8.
And the final season.
But until then,
stay on the watch.
Keep on the lookout, I'd like to say.
Stay on the watch.